Welcome back to the latest edition of No Horsing Around podcast. I'm going to be your host for today, Zach Boyd. Quick, instant reaction against Colts lose the Seahawks 28-16. Obviously, if you're watching this, you know that. Just wanted to hop on here real quick and just kind of throw a few things out, guys. Just quick thought reactions. Haven't even had a chance to fully digest all of this yet. But for me, very disappointing. Jim Irsay, he tweeted, he had that famous, text to Darius Leonard and said, hey, we got to get a win. Week one means so much to us. And for some reason, we can't get off the schneid. I was there personally. I was there live at the game, had a chance to see it live in action. And anytime you go against Russell Wilson, you got to contain him. Two things you got to deal with, and you're going to deal with it every single time you go against a player of that caliber. A, him getting out on the edges and killing you with his legs and his arm, and then B, him dropping back and making a guy miss on a sack and an opportunity to bring him down, and him stepping up and him just throwing that football out there. He's so good at throwing that deep ball, especially Tyler Lockett, as we saw today, right before the second half, was just an absolute killer. So my instant thoughts are offensive line. Absolutely terrible today. It just did not play well. They didn't do a whole lot for Carson in terms of giving him an opportunity to keep cleaning that pocket. He was constantly being hurried. Julian Davenport did not have his best game in a Colts jersey. I know that a lot of us were hoping that Eric Fisher would come out there and maybe be the savior week one. I think you see now how important it is to have an elite level left tackle in the NFL. Life is a lot easier for all of these quarterbacks. You get the Seahawks, great example. You get your left tackle back at the last second, a little bit of a holdout, but you get them back, and it helps out a lot in some of those situations. I thought we regrouped defensively pretty well in the second half. We didn't play well. We were sloppy in that first half. We did give that touchdown up late to DK Metcalf and just kind of cemented that victory, that last touchdown to go ahead. At the time, it was 28-10, and the game was pretty much over with at that point. But the defense responded fairly decent. I thought that, I liked that Darius Leonard punched that ball out in the second half. He did what he normally does, and he makes plays. Offensively, it was just very scattered today. It just wasn't a lot of good pace to it. A lot of checkdowns to the running backs. I did think the running backs, they probably played the best of anybody. Himes and Taylor probably were the best offensive movers to keep getting the first downs. I did like in limited action what Michael Strawn did. He caught some passes. He took advantage of his opportunities. That's all he could do, right? He drew a pass interference late in the game, and he caught a few passes. I don't have the stats right in front of me yet. Like I said, this is just a raw, instant reaction. Paris Campbell caught a deep ball on really the only deep ball that we connected with the whole game. We just did not challenge them down the field. Everything just kind of sunk up in that game. They were really playing Jonathan Taylor against that run, very heavy, and everything underneath. Carson seemed to want to hit everything underneath in those side routes with those running backs. Jury's still out with Carson Wentz. I want to know in the comments. I want to know what you think about him. I didn't think he played terrible. I didn't think he played great. I think it was just a hair above a mediocre football game. It looked like a guy who hadn't played for a while, right? That's just what he looked like, and that's exactly what happened. He hadn't played for a while. And I think this is one of the things that the Colts are going to run into every single season coming into week one. They make the decision, you got two trains of thoughts. You got a Bill Belichick old school mentality. We're going to have to play our players in the preseason and get them ready for week one. Frank Reich doesn't like that. Frank Reich likes sitting his stars. Well, what happens is these guys get out there, and it's their first real live bullet action against really good NFL football players, and I think it stuns them a little bit. I think it takes a while for them to get their legs underneath of them. A lot of times you see a quicker bounce back in week two. You're like, oh, my gosh, this is what we all expected. This is the Colts football team. Week one is the most crazy week in the NFL. I know we all have this overreaction, whether it's good with a win or it's bad with a loss, but week one especially – so many football teams, play so differently than their actual, their personnel dictates in that first week, just because of the way that they are handling injuries and everything in the offseason. Michael Pittman caught a couple balls. Zach Pascal obviously caught 2 touchdowns, caught that garbage touchdown late, but he caught the touchdown. That ball, I didn't think I was there. We're going to try to post that video up on one of our links as well, and let you see it, kind of a firsthand reaction. I didn't think it was a very good thrown ball, but he sure made a hell of a catch. I mean, Zach Pascal really showed why he provides value for this football team, and he keeps us in those games. I would have liked to have seen us use the tight ends a little bit more. We did start using Doyle later in the game, and it did start moving the chains. That flow, that cadence of the football game, we just never could get it going. And the defense stalled them 3 and out, and they got them off the field so many times in the second half, and we just could not produce points. And that's what it's all about in the NFL. That was a big problem last year. Red zone offense, red zone execution. And for whatever reason, new team, new quarterback, same result. And when you're playing against a playoff team, a perennial playoff team, and you're a future Hall of Fame quarterback, in my opinion, Russell Wilson, you got to be sharp, man. You got to play well. I did like the fact that they started getting to him a little bit in the second half. I'm not so worried about the defense. They played with some injuries. They dealt with Xavier Rhodes being out of this game. And, they didn't play all in all terrible. The totality of it wasn't terrible. But this defense is built on not giving up big plays, and that's exactly what they did, right? They gave up big plays, and Tyler Lockett he does what Tyler Lockett does. Russell Wilson connecting with him, and that's why he's so, unique and valuable to this Seahawks football team. You take Tyler Lockett on another football team, maybe he's not quite as good of a wide receiver, but he's perfect for Russell Wilson because Wilson loves launching those deep routes, and he's just a good enough receiver. You got to respect that underneath stuff, because if he catches it in space, he can still cut that ball upfield and take it all the way. But he's really dangerous on those deep balls, especially on those one-on-ones against those high safeties, or a non-experienced cornerback. Not a lot to write home about, but I just want to get on here. Quick reaction. Colts lose to the Seahawks 28-16. Like, rate, review, subscribe, share, join the No Horsing Around family. And more importantly than anything, the thing I'm so excited about with you guys have been commenting so much in our YouTube. Our chats are just blowing up here lately. They're so cool to have that good interaction, that one-on-one, a healthy discussion. Tell me who you liked. Tell me who you didn't like. Tell me the adjustments you would make moving into week 2 going against a really good Rams team. Until then, signing off. Zach Boyd, No Horsing Around podcast. Thanks for